Hey guys, it's Josh and I'm so excited. I get asked this question all the time. Which is better, wholesale or fix and flip? Now there's a lot of variables here, but I want to show you the exact numbers. So we're going to take a property I recently sold. By the end of this short video, you're going to be able to see a case study on an exact comparison of wholesale versus fix and flipping the house, or maybe even doing what some people refer to as a wholesale, where we close on it and resell it retail. And we can kind of make a comparison, which is better? Which way do you really make more money? Because a lot of times people think, well, if I'm wholesaling it to the fix and flipper and then they make their profit, whether they do a big fix and flip or they don't really touch the house and they sell it, why don't I just do both? And I talk about this a lot, but it comes down to that there's so much involved in actually fix and flipping. You take your hat off of being an investor and you go out there and do a fix and flip. I want to do a comparison here, run you guys through the numbers on a recent deal we actually did. And so we average over $20,000 profit per deal. And you guys can smash that subscribe button down there if you want to follow along, because we always show live deals. We like to drop tips and nuggets of how we're doing things, how we get a lot of leads, how we close a lot of deals, how we average a good gross profit. So recently we did this deal. I wanted to pick a deal that was around an average size deal. So this is a recent deal we just did. We made $25,000. It was a cold calling on steroids lead. And I wanted to bring the numbers up and show a versus B scenario of what we would have made had we flipped it. Would we have made a bunch more money? Would it have been worth it? Now, I'll also, if you guys want, consider creating a second video where I maybe compare fix and flipping a property versus wholesaling it on maybe something that was going to be a smaller assignment fee, maybe like a $10,000 assignment fee. So if you guys think that would be helpful, let me know in the comments. And if we get enough people saying, yes, we want that, we'll do a second video doing a case study on a $10,000 wholesale fee comparison to what it would have been if we fixed and flipped it. So I'm going to bring up the property right now, guys. Let me show you some of the pictures so you have the context of what we were working with. Okay, so here is the property right here. You can see a little bit about how I do my disposition blast as well, because this one did sell at full price quickly, and that was awesome. But here's the house. We've got kind of our info here. We're talking about 1,886 square foot. We've got a decent sized garage, so that's going to add to the roof. Again, the AC is newer, but the roof is not. All right, so let's check out the pictures. All right, so this is an older roof. It actually doesn't look in horrible shape, but for ARV, it's not going to be there. I can already tell that. We've got older style windows, looks like there. Looks like an older garage door. We could probably salvage that for a flip, but it is an older garage door. Definitely going to need some paint. Actually, some of these windows look like they might be newer. This one over here is older. This one's newer. Front door is older. Might be able to be salvaged, kind of go with the retro thing there, but doesn't have a lot of landscape. When we get on the inside, and we can tell it needs everything. It's going to need scraped ceilings. Off the popcorn, it's going to need all new floors. Look at that. New countertops, cabinets, new paint, new fixtures, everything. It's going to need paint. It's going to need flooring. I'm not even counting for opening up any of these walls that could be load-bearing. We're just going to assume that we're going to leave the floor plan intact. But keep in mind, say you wanted to open up a floor plan, say this wall right here, you're going to be removing, lifting all this up, etc. Not only can that be extra drywall, extra paint, extra materials, but you're also, if it is load-bearing, you can be looking at then having to add a beam in, which can be several $1,000s as well. So for example, like right here, say you want to remove that wall, that could be an extra cost. Soffits right here, that would be drywall. If you're like, no, we don't want any of that, we want all the ceiling one height, then you'd have to like push these ducts. A lot of people call these soffits. You have to push that up into the crawl space in the attic. That way you'll raise the ceiling from here up to here where it is the rest of the room. But again, that's extra drywall, that's extra paint, that's extra labor. And you guys can see we do our pictures always as if it's kind of like a virtual walkthrough, so the person feels like they've been in the house, so you get the different perspectives, etc. But you guys can see what we're working with right here on this one. I'll go into just a couple more rooms, the kitchen here, but I think you guys have got a pretty good idea now. So as we talk about our costs, you guys will be able to associate a real house, since this is a real live case study comparison between wholesale and retail. All right, let's jump back into our numbers and start our analyzation.
and analyzation. And guys, while you're here, like this video. Also, let me know if at this point in the video right now, you would probably wholesale this deal, or if you would go all the way and do a fix and flip. Let me know in the comments.
All right, so our ARV on this property is $325,000. That's the most it could be worth that we could sell it for based on the recent comps if we maximize the value, so making it as nice as possible. ARV 325. Our as-is retail value on this one was $250,000. And we wholesaled this property for $215,000, and we bought it for $190,000. So guys, it's a real easy assignment fee. Right there is the difference. It's exactly what we put in our pocket, was $25,000. In fact, it was actually $24,997 because I sold this for $214,997 for marketing purposes. So $25,000. Now I'm going to get up here the cost associated with flipping this property so we can make a comparison. So let's do that now. There we go. All right, so we've got our purchase price. In this case, we bought the house for $190,000 is what we had under contract with the seller. We know that we can sell it for a max of $325,000 today. Closing costs on this property right here would be a little higher. This is a property it's in a community referred to as Sun City, Arizona. There's a $4,000 HOA transfer fee and capital improvement fee in addition. Now, a lot of times properties with HOAs might be a few $100s for a transfer fee or $500. So a few $1,000s is a little on the high side, but that's what we're working with here. In addition to that, we would have our regular title and escrow fees and stuff like that for both the seller and the buyer, since our $190,000 price is net to seller. So we have to pay both sides closing costs plus the HOA. So in this case, that would be about $6,000 to buy the property. Now we're gonna have our loan costs. More than likely, you're not gonna just fund these flips cash. You're probably gonna need to borrow the money. And if you have cash, you're gonna probably get tapped out quickly unless you have tons and tons of money. So usually you're gonna be getting a loan there, or you're limited to only doing a few flips. If you are using cash at a time, you're gonna have the loan costs. Now on a $200,000 house, let's look at it this way. You're probably going to be in the property, 4 months is usually what I use as a baseline. So 4 months of the loan cost, if you paid 12% on that, now depending on if you put money down or you don't put money down, you're going to be looking at, even if that was a $150,000 loan, let's say you do put money down, at 12%, that's $1,500 a month. You got 4 months, that's $6,000, and they probably have at least a $1,000, if not a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 loan fee. So again, if we've got $6,000 just in interest, let's just call it a $1,000 loan fee, we're still at $7,000 just for the loan costs. We still have utilities. And if we're gonna have it for 4 months, and it could be longer, right? You never know. Sometimes just being under contract can tie up time. Utilities, let's just say $1,500. Now, depending on the deal, the market, etc., what time of year it is, that could vary. If it's in summer in Arizona, you got a big house, you got to keep cool, you're going to pay a lot in air conditioning bills. If you can leave heat and air off because you're in a mild temperature climate, you're going to save some money on utilities. Commissions are going to be when we sell it. So if we sell it for $325,000, we're probably going to be paying 2.5%, 3% to the buyer's agent that brings us a retail buyer. Let's say we pay them 3%. That's usually the going rate. We're going to have another almost $10,000 in commissions. And we got to pay closing costs again when we sell it. This time, probably the buyer would pay the HOA transfer fee, but we'd at least have title and escrow. Let's call that $2,000. Now, we've got Rehab and Profit. These are usually the biggest indicators. These ones you'll get comfortable with, and you'll usually know about what it's going to cost you. In your market, you've got your lender, you've got your stuff, and you'll kind of know quickly what these numbers are. But these numbers will vary on every single property. Now, a lot of times people will fix their profit. Sometimes people say, I want to make at least 10%. Sometimes people say, I want to make at least $20,000. It can depend on what you like to do, how you spend your time, what return you need on your money and on your time to make the deal make sense. But let's say on a $325,000 ARV, you're shooting for 10%. That's going to be $32,500. And this will help you guys, just even if you're already doing flips or you want to do more flips, to pencil out a flip, how you want to do it too. So plug your profit in there. So right away, here's what you have. This tells me right away how much my rehab budget needs to be under. So I can now add all these numbers up, subtract them from 325, and whatever's left over is how much I have for the rehab. Now, if that doesn't give me enough money to get to this 325, the only thing I can do is reduce my profit, okay? And that's how you look at a flip. Do I want to do this flip? Do I not? What number makes sense for me? And the property we looked at just now, oh, we're going to need some space. So if we want to sell it for full ARV, realistically, it needs a new roof. We don't necessarily have to do a new roof, but we're going to eat that somewhere. Selling the property for a little bit less. They might ask for something on the Binzer, which is after they've done their inspection period, etc. So let's just say on the roof, new roof on this house probably would cost us 10, 15 grand. Let's say we don't really need a new roof. Maybe it's only going to affect the price $7,000. So we'll just eat that and not actually do the roof. Or maybe we go the roof. Again, these are the things you got to consider when you're doing a rehab and say, will this still get me to my ARV? So at a roof at 7K, I might have to adjust my ARV now to 318. Okay? Or I could keep it at 325 and change this to 14K. You could do either one. On this house here, we're going to need flooring. The windows are outdated. Now there's a lot of windows, probably got some sliding doors, might need to do a couple of French doors, etc. I'm going to say on windows, you're probably going to be at least 5,000. This could be real easy, 7,000 is probably a more fair estimate. Floors, you need to do some hardwood or tile throughout the house, redo all the flooring. You're probably looking at, with installation, 5,000 there. And this is doing the flipper version, guys. This isn't, obviously, any of you could go out there and make your dream home and you could pay more than all these numbers for any house. But just to get to ARV, we don't necessarily need to make it our dream house. We just need to have it match the other comps that are selling at the top of the market in that neighborhood, which is 325. So if we want to do a roof at 7K, we might need to adjust that. Windows here, we've got that. We're going to have to paint the inside and out. This house here, we're probably looking at $3,000 to $3,500 for the outside, probably about the same for the inside. Let's call that 6K. For paint inside and out. We're going to need to do fixtures. So you've got all the light fixtures, you've got light switches, you've got sink, faucets, toilets, all these things. In a house like this, we're probably looking at, for brand new stuff, decent stuff, with installation, I'm going to give a budget there of $3,500. So we've got our roof, we've got our floor, we've got our windows, we've got our paint, we've got our fixtures, we've got our HVAC. Let's say it's working. I think on this one, it was like a few years old. We're probably going to be okay on that. Let's say we're good on the HVAC on this deal. We're probably going to have at least a little bit of landscaping, even if it's just keeping the yard watered and maintained for a few months, 3 or 4 months. And let's just call that $1,000. And that's without doing any really improvements. All right, we've got kitchen and bathrooms. So kitchen, we're going to do new cabinets. Same thing in the bathrooms. We're going to do new vanities. So let's say we can get, we'll add these together. We can do our cabinets, kitchen and bathroom for, we'll call it 8K. We've got our countertops. We've got a kitchen plus 2 bathrooms. We're probably going to be looking at least 4K there, 3 to 4K. But you never want to shoot low and then you'll end up eating it in profit like we talked about. We got our toilets and our sinks and stuff like that covered in our fixtures. If we end up doing showers, which we probably will need to do both on these for ARV, showers, we're going to have to do 2 of them with tile, maybe a new surround, all that stuff. Really easily, we're probably looking at 6K at least for both of those. Let's just say for plumbing and electrical, miscellaneous stuff that could come up since it's an older house, let's give ourselves another 2K budget. A lot of times I'll call this the Binzer budget, and this is what's going to come up that we might not see, that's really not noticeable, but when they do an inspection might come up that they might want fixed. I want to give myself a little buffer. So on this, I would say we're already basically putting everything in our budget, so we don't need it to be a huge number. If you were going to go really sharp in your pencil and you're putting numbers here that like you hope you can get, then you'd want to fluff this number up to kind of offset that. But if you went a little high on all these and you're assuming you've done everything that the house needs, you can go a little lighter here on the Binzer, but I always recommend putting something. So even let's just give it a 2K buffer there. So we add up all these costs, we're at $49,500 for the rehab, and that's with an ARV, taking my ARV down to 315. I'm sorry, 318. Okay? Now, let's kind of try to keep this simple. Let's keep our ARV at 325. Let's just say we do need to do the roof. So we've got another 7K. So that now goes to 14K. This goes up to 56.5. Do we have that in the deal? Well, let's go back to our number. All right, so we had $273,000 in total cost here. So if we sell it for our ARV, we got 325 minus 273. That's a profit of $52,000. In this case, we would have made a lot more money to do a fix and flip. But let's look at the alternatives. So we made $25,000. We could have made $52,000. What would it have cost us here? $52,000. Well, number one, we assumed on our thing we put $40,000 down, so we tied up $40K cash. Tied up. Then we had loan costs of $7,000. Most of that was paid while we were doing it, so we've got another $7K cash. We got utilities at $1,500. We got to come out of pocket for that, so that's $1,500 cash. Commissions, we don't have to pay till closing. Same thing with our second closing costs, so we're good there. Rehab, $56,500. So just in cash out of pocket, we're gonna have to come up with $105K cash out of pocket for 4 months. So put $105 out for 4 months. Now, how much time are we gonna spend? A lot. Imagine every time we're gonna drive this property, every time we're gonna get on the phone, getting contractor bids, following up with our guys, being frustrated with them, etc. And guys, we haven't factored for anything going wrong here. So usually these numbers always end up being a little bigger than you planned, and usually something happens, like maybe you don't sell it for full price, maybe it takes a little longer to sell. So there's a lot of these buffer here, so if there's any variance there, because right now we're at a difference of $27,000. Instead of making 25, we can make an additional 27, but we have to do all these things to make the additional 27,000. The time, the risk, the cash out of pocket, which is huge, $105,000. We have to do all these things, hope that the market doesn't change, to get an extra $27,000. Well, what if we took all that time, we took all that energy into managing the other people, the crews, the project, everything else, and we took the risk and out of the equation, which also conserves tons of time and energy because you're not worrying about that risk. Could we just go get one more deal? In which case we'd basically break even. Could we get 2 more deals with that time? In which case we'd be ahead. I contend, after doing this for 10 years, that all that time right there, you could probably get 3 more deals. If you just spent that time talking to leads, lead generating, qualifying sellers, underwriting properties, and making deals. So keep that real estate investor hat on. If you can go get 3 more deals, let's just say their average deal is at 20,000, 20, 40, 60, plus the 25, that's 85,000. I'll take 85,000 all day long over 52,000, plus I can sit in my office all day being a wholesaler, being an investor, not spend my time being a general contractor and doing all that. Now guys, the numbers get way tighter when we talk about comparing a deal that would be a smaller wholesale fee. So again, if you guys want me to do a case example again on a $10,000 deal, let me know in the comments, and if we get enough people wanting that, then I'll gladly do that. So guys, hope this helps. Doesn't mean don't fix and flip. You got to make that decision for you. You got to base it on how much cash do you have, how much risk do you have, how much time do you have, what do you like to do? And probably, in my opinion, by far the most important, what is the true variance? Because a lot of times you might do this and say, whoa, we made 25 wholesale. We probably only would have made 25 even if we did all those other things. So this is an example here. You actually might scratch your head for a minute. But again, for me, it's really simple. I look at that time. I know I can go get 3 more wholesale deals, come out making more money than if I spent all the time, energy, brain damage, frustration trying to actually flip this house. Crush it, guys. Leave me some love. Make sure to like this video. It really helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And then click this video for more wholesale real estate tips.